show. It's very, very good to have you here.
Well, thank you. Enjoy being here.
Now, like I said, in my opinion, in the Oaklawn area, you're a famous artist. Now, but your art is a little bit different from the mainstream art. Would you tell us about what your art is, and explain it to someone who's not really artistic, what your art is?
Okay. My mission statement as an artist is I feel that, like, when you view art, so much art that you see out there, you're afraid to experience it. It's kind of like you're afraid to become hands-on with it. So with my art, I kind of want you, as the viewer, to have fun with it. I think art should be laughed at. I think art should be understood and not necessarily coming from a humorous point, but it should be something that you enjoy and something that's comfortable with you. It shouldn't be so pristine that it scares people from wanting to be a part of it.
Okay. So your art, you attempting to bring joy into people's lives, or you want to give them some excitement, or what's your main goal when you do?
I like to bring art into enjoyment. Fun is a good term. It's a simple term, but I like them to not be so separate from it. Sometimes when people see art, they're afraid of it because, like, give you an example. They walk into a museum and see a piece of glass on the floor with a pile of sand that's 12 inches tall laying on top of this piece of glass, and they go, okay, who said this was art? You know?
Okay.
So I want people to feel that when they have my art, they have something that they can appreciate, something that they can understand, and something they can relate to.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And, you know, something that's a visual that brings them enjoyment.
Okay, now, what kind of media do you work with mainly?
I work mixed media. I work a lot of acrylic. Acrylic is primarily a lot of my work that you see because of the fact that it's so easy to work with. It's fast, and production-wise, not from a factory point of view, but I can get a lot more pieces out there to a lot more people. I like to do mixed media. I like to work oil with acrylic, kind of mixing the two, and I also like the use of Prismacolor. It's a wax-based colored pencil that you can do anything from abstract with it all the way. A lot of artists now are using Prismacolor to do photorealistic paintings or drawings that are just unbelievable.
Okay. Now, where in the area can we see your art?
Right now, it's all over Dallas. I have work at Bewley's. B-Tan has been Brian at B-Tan has been a faithful promoter of my work for years. Mark with Vito's over in Oak Cliff has been a very faithful person to exhibit my art for years, and he fell in love with stuff. He owns quite a few private pieces in his own collection. A lot of stuff I have at Nodding Dog in Oak Cliff area, and Bewley's on Oaklawn, Cedar Springs area of Oaklawn. They have a pretty good following there right now, so I'm really, really grateful for Scott and Alan and what they've been able to do with my work.
Okay. Now, do you have a website?
I do have a website. It's kind of a difficult name right now, but it's one that I'm looking forward to condensing it and making it a little more accessible. It's Robb Conover. That's Robb with two B's, Conover, .zoomshare.com.
Okay, we'll put that on the lower quarter here where people can see it.
Okay.
Now, also we'll have a link from our website as well. Now, let's talk about some of your individual pieces, and we're going to put those up on the screen now. This first piece that we're looking at, which is part of the slideshow you gave me of your work, what's it about?
Well, the first piece, if I remember the order correctly, the first piece is a play on Audrey Hepburn. It's a piece of her from the famous picture, famous pose at Breakfast at Tiffany's holding a cigarette holder. And in the background, it's done in the very Warhol style. Mm-hmm. I have a giant hairspray can with someone's finger pressing down on the hairspray can, spraying hair. a stream of hairspray.
Okay, this is the second piece of art that we're looking at.
That's
here.
the first piece that's
First piece,
on the
okay.
slideshow.
Okay, and let's look at this next one here. What is this one?
Second piece I have on demonstrate is going in a show at the Magnolia. This is coming up the 22nd of March. It's on display at the Bewley's right now. This piece is an abstract piece. It's kind of been compared to Kandinsky. I wasn't familiar with his piece until after I finished his piece, but it's an abstract study of circles. And the breaking up of the circles is like the breaking up of a pattern or breaking up a rhythm, you know, breaking away from routine. So
Okay, this next one, what would you say about it?
I've thrown a couple of my pencil drawings in there, give you a little idea of the variety of work I do. The pencil drawings that you're looking at are actually drawings of male angels. They're very detailed, and I've done quite well with them.
Okay, and what about this one here?
Okay, this would be one of, this is an abstract painting, another circle study. It's done, it was the very first one I did, and it was kind of like an experiment away from, I wanted to get away from the pop feeling, from the Warhol, James Rosquist school for a while. Just wanted to try something different, so this was my first attempt at doing that nature of abstract over again.
Okay. Now here's another piece. What would you say about this one?
These next few pieces that you're going to look at are actually photorealism studies. Photorealism is a medium that, or a style of painting that's done with just about any medium, but you have to learn to master the medium. The most common photorealism paintings are done with oil.
Okay.
Just because of the fact that you can do them on a smooth surface, you can go in and keep painting and keep painting and keep it at a smooth surface and keep it at that look. So when you get through with the photorealism, you really can't tell to the naked eye because it's like an optical illusion. It plays a trick with your mind, and when you look at the artwork, you're convinced that it's a photograph. So a lot of times the artist has to go in and alter part of it or purposely put a flaw in his work so that so you know that it's artwork. Otherwise, people tend to just walk by it.
Now here we're looking at some video footage of a parade float that you did, which there's actually several segments of footage. Some have some doves, and then there's this one here with these people on it. What would you say about this? Now, were you commissioned to do this parade float?
Actually, it's just been, if you've seen the segment with Pastor Linda Harris at Sanctuary of Love, it's part of my gift to her every year. I've just always wanted to do the float, and I've always wanted to do the T-shirt. She's come to me several years ago and asked me if I would, and she knows I'll never tell her no.
Well, interestingly enough, the parade floats that you have done have often, I think every time, won an award.
Every single float I've done has won first place in one division or another, and I'd like to add to that. It's just not me. It's a gift from God, and it's a thought from God that I put down on the paper and said, here. So it's the interpretation, my interpretation of what God's given to me, and the assistance of several others in the church that have helped with this, because without the help of the other people, it's just...
It seems like it'd be a lot of work to do art for an entire parade float.
It's a task, but it's a fun task.
So where do these ideas come from you put on canvas?
Just every day, it's kind of like a part of our walk as an artist. You know, when you sit and you see something and you think about it, you kind of take, you know, the person that's a non-artist, not to say the photographers aren't, so I don't want to mislead here, but when I see a visual, something in my mind, I look at it from a whole different perspective than you would. So that when I get that thought in my mind, I use for later reference. That's why I've heard said before that anything that an artist creates is a sum of all of his journeys.
Mm-hmm.
So we mustn't be afraid of the journey that the artist takes.
Now, some people have, and I hate to classify any form of art, but some people have classified your art as being Warhol-esque. Is that true or not?
I think I've been accused of that, but I think it would be more Lichtensteinish, if that's a proper term, because I did an internship when I was going to college, a very short internship on a project with Lichtenstein School.
Mm-hmm.
And so it has a very strong influence on the stuff. But that's what you're seeing right now in Dallas. Mm-hmm. You're seeing a lot of it, but I'm pulling away from that. The more time I get, the more I'm getting into my photorealism. One of the pieces that you'll see in the slide is a watercolor that I did as a gift and gave it to Pastor Linda. And it's a watercolor of a wreath of roses. Mm-hmm. And it's up against a windowsill. And it's probably the closest to the water. It was the first real photorealism painting I've done probably in about 5 years. Mainly because of time. When you do a photorealism painting, it can take a good 3-4 months. Sometimes it can take up to a year to do a photorealism painting. So it's not very financially feasible for artists to spend that much time working on a piece if, you only do 30 pieces in your lifetime, maybe.
Well,
but Mrs. Harris is the proud owner of one of my watercolors, and you'll see it in the slide. It's a wreath, like I said, of rose petals. Kind of an unusual perspective. It's not your normal angle of it, but if you look at it, you know what it is instantly. Mm-hmm. So,
well, your art is really becoming popular, at least in the Oaklawn area and over in Oak Cliff, some at the arts area over there. Is this what you do full time, or is this what you want to do full time and you're not able to, or what's that situation now?
It's like that old play on that word that seems to plague the art community: starving artist. Mm-hmm. Some of us are, and some of us aren't. But it's like you've always got to put bread on the table, and so you are forced to take, small odd jobs mm-hmm. or part-time jobs or something. It's just like the same thing with an actor. Mm-hmm. An actor has to wait. It seems like it's almost tradition or almost cliche that an actor waits tables and acts at night. Mm-hmm. And which, by coincidence, acting and waiting tables are the same thing. Mm-hmm. You have to fool the public no matter what you do. So it's getting out of that mindset. A lot of it is discipline, a lot of it is mm-hmm. conditioning, and a lot of it is just believing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where a lot of artists have a lot of weaknesses, that we want to make 100% of our income from doing the art. Mm-hmm. But there's a few times of the year when people don't want to make investments in art. Mm-hmm. So you fall into that little thing where I got to do a part-time job, and then that part-time job becomes too comfortable.
Well, there's a sad truism, which isn't necessarily true for every artist, but usually the art becomes a whole lot more valuable after they're gone. And but a lot of them actually make money before they're gone.
I've had a few people rumor that they'd like to get rid of me so their art would be more valuable. So I don't think that'll happen.
So how prolific are you? How many pieces of art do you do in a year, a month, or so forth?
That was in college. That was kind of like the biggest compliment I got from my teachers. It was not so much about quantity as it was the quality of my pieces. Mm-hmm. I was given the gift to know what I want to put on canvas. I can visualize an entire piece in my mind, and I can put that on canvas in a short period of time. I'm not, the Bob Woods mm-hmm. that you see on KERA or one of these other channels, but can do one piece in a whole day. If I wanted to spend one day doing a piece, I can do a piece in 2 hours if I have to. But for the really, it just depends on how detailed I want to get in the piece and what I'm trying to express in the piece. That determines how much time you take on a piece. I heard it said 1,000 times, an artist is never happy with his work when it's finished. If I took a painting that I thought was finished or that someone else looked at and thought was finished, I would probably, if I hung it in my own home, it's like decorating or rearranging furniture. Every time you look at that art piece, you're tempted to grab the paint and change something in it. Because you see something else or you see something different, or you'll go, oh, why didn't I think of that then? Which is an interesting point about art, is if you sit down and do a piece visually all at one time or at one setting, it'll never be the same painting as if you took a whole long period of time to do it, because your thoughts just change. It's just like writing a book. You know, if you sit down in one day and try to write a whole book, the characters are only going to follow a certain plot line. But if you take that book or that writing and spread it over like a 2-year period, something's going to happen in your life that's going to change that character.
So you'd say, and I'd say that's true for most artists, that your artwork will vary depending on your emotional being at the time, and you know, and you can say, well, this is early Conover and this is late Conover, and so forth and so on. And so, you know, I've really been impressed by your work, and you know, when I go into Booley's and I look at the art on the walls, and I'd say, you know, if Rob was here, he'd probably want to rearrange this, but there's more here and there. But it really, to me, is exciting. A lot of people comment on your art that is from, it seems like superheroes. And
I did a whole segment of that. I've kind of gotten away from it more so recently. It was a phase I went through when I first moved to Dallas, because it was based on a lot of the pop art where you add familiar items and familiar characters to a painting that people can relate to. So it kind of makes it, you know, you put your own elements in it, and which is basically a lot in art history. You'll say that there's never been an artist that's an original artist. Every artist has borrowed from each other in one way or another. So I borrow those elements and I use those elements and familiar icons and familiar images so that people can put their own stories into it.
Now, a lot of your artwork features Hollywood personages, such as Audrey Hepburn. Who else have you done?
I've actually done a painting of Madonna. I've done several paintings of Cher. I've done, right now, I just finished working on 4 pieces, a few of my paintings. And then, like you said, I borrow from pop icons like Superman, Batman, and just different characters like that.
Now, these Hollywood icons, have they ever seen a copy of the art that you've done of them?
Madonna owns, I'm very fortunate because of that, but Madonna owns a piece that I did, and it kind of ironically, it's not of her. She owns a piece that I did of Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. And Madonna, a lot of people don't know this, she's like one of the largest collectors in the world of young artists and private, you know, artists, individuals. She doesn't go for the big name, the huge pieces, but she's probably got one of the largest collections in the world right now of unknown artists.
Maybe you'll send Madonna a picture of what you did on her sometime.
Yeah. And Rosie O'Donnell owns a little small poster I did, but that was given to her as a gift when it was a caricature that I did of her, kind of a small pop painting that I did of her when she was doing her magazine here in Dallas, was doing the promotion for it. And somebody saw it and bought it and gave it to her. But as far as me meeting her or talking, didn't have that opportunity.
Well, Rob, it's been a true pleasure to have you here. And I want to invite everyone to go to the different locations we talked about, or to his website, and take a look at the art of Robb Conover. Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.